Howdy, howdy. This is Laura Lark from Laura Lark Studios, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about the Ruffle. Okay, I know I've covered this just a little bit, but I just wanted to say that there are two different kinds of ruffles. There is a ruffle or two in this week's featured looks, but I just wanted to show you how you can get that way just from two separate shapes, two basic shapes, the rectangle and the circle. Now the rectangle is pretty obvious, so you can actually, and excuse my disgusting fabric, this is from an old pillowcase, and I just use all fabric, all old fabric for this. And I'm going to show you that just with just a shortening of this, just using a wide stitch and pulling this back, we can make just a regular ruffle out of the rectangle, okay? And so this kind of rectangle can be positioned kind of anywhere. It can be at the bottom of a dress, like say for example, if you've got a nice like throwback, Love Shack fancy kind of hippie or prairie dress, this can go on the bottom of it. Okay, and the thing is that when you're drawing it, just go ahead and make this little line to coincide with each one of these little ruffles. You can also just cut this down a little bit, and I'll show you that in just a sec. So if you look at this longer rectangle that I've made, if it's shorter, then I can make a shorter little ruff. I can put something at the bottom of a sleeve. Okay, and once again, I'm just using a big black thing. You can also make a ruffle around a neckline, and you just want to make these little lines to indicate where the fabric gathers in. Another place where you can actually see the ruffle is with shirring, or a take on the ruffle is with shirring. Hold on just a second, I'll be right back. With the shirring, I can just take a rectangular part, or just, make a loose seam down the center of any bodice, and I'm just going to try to pull these shorter. Okay. I might have to come back in a second because I'm obviously not doing it right. Okay, so this is actually, I've done this, two of these, and you can just minimize this, but also make that shirring right here. And that's kind of a nice way to go if you've got like someplace where you just want an embellishment. So if you've got that, then once again, you are simply going to be indicating where that fabric came in. And I will be providing samples of this. Okay, this is also a really good way to make a bandeau top. And as you all probably remember, this all goes back to the bow that we talked about earlier in the semester. You can also make that long ruffle, long square ruffle, by putting it up on an empire bodice dress. You can put that ruffle anywhere, and you can make it any length. This kind of reminds me of that fabulous pink dress that the woman wore in Killing Eve. I don't know if any of you saw that show. It's pretty fabulous. So anyway, that's what you can always do with kind of a rectangular. But what about the circle that we talked about before? Now the circle makes a different kind of ruffle. Now we know that if you extend the circle long enough, you can simply make a full circle skirt or a half circle skirt. And then when it collapses, then you can kind of show where that extra fabric went. Now some of this, I don't know if you all have done your homework yet, but some of this stuff will be going with the grain. But one of the reasons why this kind of thing makes such a nice drape is that some of it is on the bias cut, which, if you guys know, the bias cut is the 90-degree angle. We've got the warp and the weft. The warp, this is a crash course, but this is going this way, usually how things fall down, but if you hang it on the bias, you get a really nice drape there. And all of this can be done with the circle. Now, if you see from the Alexander McQueen look that I have this week, you can see that there were circular ruffles used here. Now you see I have this circle here, but depending on its size, you can simply collapse it to get these ruffles, and you can actually attach a whole bunch of them together, especially around the bottom of a hem. This can also go at the neckline. You know, anywhere you want to do it, it's going to be kind of rounder, a little bit, for me, a little bit more interesting. And once again, when you're drawing that, you simply make the indications of the gathering of the fabric to match up with these lines you're doing here. There are several different ways you can do it. You can cut, I've got this particular circle here, but if you want to cut it out a little bit, and once again, we're dealing with very disturbingly disgusting fabric, but if you wanted to add a little bit of a ruffly feature like you see in so many of the fashions these days, you can cut this down and simply hang this down as a feature. And once again, that just comes from this right here. You can also get this kind of you can make it drape down really nicely into these kind of strings. And strings are so popular these days. And this is simply by just making this even smaller, going around the edge of this. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about these and see how much fun you can have. I like to put these rounded ruffles just about anywhere. And like I said, the bias cut does make them easier it just makes a nice, soft, smooth. Whereas with the shirring and with the gathering here, you've got more emphasis or more of the gathering up here, and then the rest of it kind of falls in a different way. Just wanted to show you the difference between those two, because you do see those on the runway, and especially, you know, depending on your fabric, like a stiffer fabric, like the one used in the McQueen look that we've talked about today, they actually use taffeta, so you get big, stiff stuff here. This is all going to change if you use like a drapier fabric or say a knit, depending on how loose and how soft you want to go. It can depend on the fabric, but it's all going to come down to the rectangle and the circle. So thank you very much, and goodbye from Laura Lark Studios. Have a good day.